Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
And welcome in. It is episode 502. Charles Bishop, my co-host Wilton Jackson. Man, what's going on, good brother?
I am doing good, Charles. What about yourself?
I'm sleepy. I'm tired. I sat up and watched two of the greatest, playoff games thus far. Last night we was watching the Knicks and watching the Lakers. I mean, we'll get into all that, of course, Wilton. But HBCU news, basketball news last night, man. I'm tired. I'm drained. I'm a Laker fan. I'm hurting today.
Ooh, at least it wasn't Jokic this time.
Yeah, at least it wasn't Jokic this time. But I thought the 10-game, I thought the 9-game win streak was gonna get broken up last night. But
yeah, it was supposed to.
It
was supposed to. That was a game that the Lakers should not have lost. And it's like when you're watching that game and you see the substantial lead they had in the third quarter, you're thinking to yourself, there's still another major Nuggets run that's coming. It's I'm hoping that LeBron and the supporting cast have enough to withstand this fourth quarter run that Denver's gonna go on. And it's just like, man. I mean, but the thing is, when you go back and look at that play, the writing was on the wall the entire time when Jamal Murray got that pass and got that inbound pass.
So, I'm sure we'll get into it on the back end part of the show. But why doesn't LeBron fight over the screen? Why did he pass him off to AD? I know that was the defensive play, but and AD, I mean, he's a great defender. I mean, that's a heck of a shot. I gotta take my hat off.
We're going to get into that comment because, he recently made a comment about he'll never get Defensive Player of the Year. And that kind of stands out right now after last night. But we'll get into it.
We'll get into it, man. Welcome into episode 502 of Inside HBCU Sports Lab, a radio show and podcast, the show that covers the sporting HBCU diaspora and all things HBCU sports, from institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights, information on the HBCU sports culture and HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs. Of course, I've kind of bumped over to the lead chair for a little while. I'm your host, Charles Bishop. I'm with my co-host, Wilton.
Dr. He ain't gonna appreciate that too much.
Right. Trust. Doc is always close. He's always close by. With my guy Wilton Jackson, Mike Washington. He's gonna be coming in hot a little bit later on, but we got a jam-packed show tonight. Shout out to my students who are checking in already, watching the show tonight. I see you. That will go towards something.
They gotta get those bonus points.
Hey, we're toward the end of the season now, so toward the end of the season, toward the end of the semester. So they got to get those little bonus points. But jam-packed show. We're going to talk with Dr. Dennis Thomas in terms of the life and legacy of one of the greatest that the SWAC has ever seen, Coach Archie Cooley. And we will get into a little bit of that 1984 Alcorn versus Mississippi Valley State game. The game that, for even back then, was the game of the century. Wilton, I hate to date myself, but I was 11 years old back then. I can say.
You think you're dating yourself? I wasn't even thought of yet. Every time I have to go back and do like YouTube clips and research and talk to people. But everything that I've ever heard about that game was what you just said. Like, it was the game beyond games. Like, to be able to know that Jerry Rice, Mississippi Valley, and knowing what Alcorn was able to do in terms of beating them and slowing down that offense. Legendary offense.
Legendary offense. So innovative for its time. we will get into all of that because that set my pathway into HBCU sports. I fell in love with it. You know, people talk about, you know, when did you first fall in love with hip hop? For me, that was like, when did you first fall in love with HBCU? And trust me, I grew up in Jackson. I grew up a Jackson State guy. You know, I grew up a Jackson State guy, but that game between Alcorn and Valley, it is a game. And I was telling my class this today. When I talk about it, it still gives me goosebumps to talk about it, because I knew I had walked in on history, and to see the stadium not just jam-packed, but literally people sitting in the aisles to where you couldn't even, there was no getting up. Like, once you were in your seat, that was that for the next 3.5 hours. And we were
the only thing that I've heard even close to that was during the days when Jackson State played Alcorn and Steve McNair was there.
Oh, I could talk about that as well. That was the next one. That was, you know, flash points in history. I guess I can check that one off as well, because it was tremendous. And Edwin Moore, he's talking about, Michael Rubenstein, tremendous sportscaster there in the city of Jackson. He and W.C. Gordon, they did the play-by-play and the color for that game. But we're going to talk to Dr. Dennis Thomas, of course, former MEAC commissioner, but just a unique lens, unique perspective, because he was the defensive coordinator in that game, and he was facing down the gunslinger, Archie Cooley. So we'll talk about that. We got Coach Johnny Hernandez. He's coming in, talk a little Bethune-Cookman baseball. We also are going to take a look around the SWAC and kind of take a look around some of the baseball that happened this past weekend. A lot of great games, man. A lot of interesting games.
Especially in that SWAC West division this weekend, too. Some separation.
Man. We got some separation in the SWAC West this weekend. We had tremendous games out here in Houston. When taking a look at Texas Southern and Southern, they got it on this past weekend. Historic 4-game sweep for the Texas Southern Tigers over the Southern Jaguars. Are you concerned? Are there some concerns in Baton Rouge in regards to this historically great Southern baseball team? Because you don't see what happened to them happen. Yeah, you just don't particularly see it. And they were coming in hot. They were coming in a hot team. So.
No, that, and it's just like I said, you don't often see sweeps with Southern, but this just also goes to the fact, and I guess a testament to what Texas Southern is building there and what they've built over the years. And this is a very dangerous team. And you know about baseball, it's like you really can't get too high and too low during the weeks, because things can change, because there are obviously so many games. And what we know every year when it comes to the SWAC, the right teams get hot and find a way to win.
Yeah, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and
exactly.
Obviously we're going to get into that. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back with Dr. Dennis Thomas, and let's talk a little bit about the life and legacy of Coach Archie Cooley.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
As technology continues to bring changes to the world of education, it's time we also reimagine teacher professional development. Gone are the days of one-size-fits-all learning that can only be accessed at a specific time and place. The Stride PD Center is an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that allow educators to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. The best professional development plans are those that include a level of flexibility and choice for educators. Whether you're a teacher, school, or district, visit us today to take charge of your learning.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
The HBCU Sports Lab, of course, with my co-host Wilton Jackson, and we'd like to welcome, let me tell you, it's an honor to have Dr. Dennis Thomas on. Dr. Thomas, obviously, former commissioner of the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, but I always say, Dr. Thomas, you're one of the brightest and most innovative minds that we've seen in HBCU athletics. So it is an honor to have you on, sir.
Thank you very much, John, for those kind comments. And Wilton, how you doing as well?
I'm doing good. What about yourself?
I'm doing absolutely great, man. I cannot complain. And I'm just kind of saddened about Coach Cooley, but he lived an exceptionally good life. And it was a pleasure for me to have been coached by him. Not many people know that Coach Cooley was assistant football coach at Southside High School in Heidelberg, Mississippi.
Heidelberg, Mississippi, no doubt. Yes,
and not many people know that he used to coach women's basketball. And he had a undefeated state champ at Southside High School.
Wow.
He went something like 31-0.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing.
That's one I didn't know.
Yeah. And I don't want to date myself, but that was during a time where two of the women players couldn't cross half court. But I'll digress for a moment and let you guys ask some questions of me.
Oh no, I mean, I tell you, I can listen to Coach Cooley stories all day. But I'll reset. We have a lot of students who are checking in, watching our program. Make sure you like and hit those thumbs up in regards to what you're watching. But a lot of what you see even now in football goes back to Coach Cooley's innovations and things that he was doing, especially in regards to those teams, Mississippi Valley State, back in the late 70s, early 80s. But, you know, Dr. Thomas, you have probably one of the most unique perspectives that I've come across. And I talked especially to my class today about this 1984 game. It was at that time the game of the century. When you talk about Mississippi Valley State taking on Alcorn, but you were the defensive coordinator in that game, and you had to face down the gunslinger in this game. And I just wanted to know, what was that preparation like in terms of seeing what they were doing in terms of 4 wides, 5 wides, stacking receivers on one side. A lot of what we talk about today, making teams play in space, Valley was doing then.
Absolutely. And Coach Cooley was an innovator. And he was doing things that was novel. He questioned the 3 yards and a cloud of dust mentality at that time. And what he wanted to do, he wanted to make the defensive defend the whole field.
Mm-hmm.
And the kind of formation that he employed, that required you to think along with him and how to defend it. And so all the Godfather, Coach Cassim, and obviously I played for Coach Cassim and I coached for Coach Cassim. And Coach Cassim, Valley was scoring over 6 points a ball game on everybody.
Exactly.
Everybody.
Yeah.
So Coach would and I had a lot of respect for Coach Gaston because he named me defensive coordinator at the tender age of 24 years old.
Wow.
And so that was back during the 1978 season, and we won a championship in '79. And then I went off to get my doctorate degree, and came back. And in '84, there were at least 70,000 people in Memorial Stadium.
Yeah.
In Jackson, Mississippi. The game, and not many people, and that still is the largest attendance for Mississippi Memorial Stadium. And at that time, Mississippi State was playing at Memorial Stadium, and they didn't get those kinds of crowds. Nope. But my youngest brother Johnny was the defensive coordinator for Coach Cooley at Mississippi Valley.
Brother versus brother in terms of defensive coordinators in that game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I coached my brother at Alcorn in 1976 and 77. And I was the linebacker coach for Coach Casson. So in '84, Coach Cooley had what they call the satellite offense.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And he had the personnel, he had the talent to do what he was doing. And when he would have no backs in the backfield, stacks, trip stack, quad stack, all kinds of stuff nobody has ever seen before.
And Dr. Thomas, they had a young man that, he went on to be one of probably the greatest players that ever played the game. You had to go against a young man by the name of Jerry Rice in that game.
Yes, we did. And we had a secret weapon for Jerry. We had a secret weapon. See, nobody, I won't say nobody, but some people didn't realize that Ike Hope, he was a high second-round draft choice. Should have been a first-round draft choice. So we had someone who could match up, and Ike was a big cornerback. Ike was something like 6'3", 215 pounds, and had quick feet and could move, change directions, and great balance, great leverage. And so we put Ike on Jerry Rice. And of course, he had Totten throwing the ball.
Man,
what we told Rice was, what we told Ike was, Ike, we're going to give you help deep. So every time the ball snapped, we want you to challenge Jerry, knock him off his pattern, make him start and stop again. And we back then we implemented personnel groupings back in '84 from a defensive standpoint. So we had coached up our players when they had 5 and 6 receivers in the game. Then our defensive backs, we would put more defensive back in the games to match up, and we knew the numbers that they were going to put in. So our players and coaches knew to substitute when they put certain people in the game.
Sure.
So we call that personnel grouping. So when they put 2 running backs in the game, we put more linebackers in the game.
Yeah.
When they took running backs out of the game and put more receivers, we put more defensive backs in the game.
All sorts of innovation in that game. That's amazing to hear. That's amazing to hear. We got Mike Washington. He's joining us now, man. I want to make sure Mike and Wilson are able to get in, man. Go for it, Mike. What question do you have for Dr. Thomas?
Hey, Dr. Thomas, how you doing? And
Thank you. How you?
Thank you for joining the show. As you can see, I am an illustrious alumni of that little school on the hill in Texas known as Prairie View A&M. So, but it's
we won't hold that against you, man.
That's all right. I won't hold anything against you. No. Sorry. It truly is an honor to speak with you. And I guess I want to get, from your perspective, you've coached championship teams, you've put together teams. What are your thoughts on how you built a team, how you got younger players when you were coaching, building these championship teams versus now when you have to deal with NIL and transfer portals? What do you see as a challenge? What are the differences you see from your perspective and when you put together college championship teams?
Well, Mike, I want you to know that Prairie View back in the day had some heck of a football teams.
Oh, yeah.
And they had some heck of a basketball team. Not many people know that Zelmo Beatty was a tremendous basketball player at Prairie View. And so I just wanted to give Prairie View some kudos because you guys have illustrious history. But there's a significant...
I appreciate it.
Yeah. There is a significant difference in the landscape of intercollegiate athletics these days. Back when I was coaching, he pretty much had a student athlete for 4 to 5 years. Mm-hmm. And if you transfer, then you would have to sit out a year before you played. In addition to that, there was some stipulation with the national letter of intent. If they didn't want you to play if a coach or institution didn't want you to play at another conference member institution, then you would have to go somewhere else outside the conference. So the development of players was what it was all about during my era of playing and coaching. And you got an opportunity to recruit student athletes that you would project to be a tremendous player after you had an opportunity to develop. Very rarely you will get a ready-made player ready to go as a freshman. Now, obviously, the NIL plays a significant part. The portal plays a significant part, and the entourage of these players play a significant role. Back in the day, you talk to the high school coach and you talk to the mamas and the papas, and that's basically it. But now, you have the entourage of people, his handlers, if you will, and you got to wade through that quagmire.
No doubt.
And decide where the power source is located. Who is going to help this student athlete make the decision? And then once you identify the power source and who's going to make a decision, then that's where you spend an inordinate amount of time of not only recruiting the student athlete, but recruiting the power source.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting now that you have to recruit the portal these days, and now you also have to understand that development of a player will be non-existent these days, because players after their first year, they're going to make a determination. 2 things. One is if they're not getting playing time, they're going to find somewhere they can get playing time. and they are immediately eligible to play if they have the academic credential. Number two is that if you actually have an opportunity to develop a player, guess what? The larger Power 5 institution are evaluating your game tape and trying to recruit those who have outstanding ability that can play at the Power 5 level that you actually develop.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Dr. Thomas, we really literally could do another hour with you. And I know you're a busy guy, man. But I had to bring you on because I thought that you had one of the most unique perspectives in terms of talking about Coach Archie Gunslinger Cooley, truly a legend within HBCU football, within the Southwestern Athletic Conference, but a Mississippi legend as well. So I thank you. I thank you for bringing that perspective. I thank you for helping educate some of our younger generation fans who did not know who this innovative mind was that we still see a lot of with regards to his offense in the current day of football. So I appreciate you so much for coming on Dr. Bills Inside the HBCU Sports Lab.
Well, thank you very much. And my last point would be this. When Jerry Rice went to the 49ers, Bill Walsh, the head coach of the 49ers, if you look back at the tape when Rice went there, you saw formations that Archie Cooley had.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and that was attributed to Bill Walsh. Bill Walsh, like most of us, he was looking for the edge, the winning edge.
Hey.
If that meant adapting some formations and strategy of Archie Cooley, and he wasn't afraid to do it. Matter of fact, he did it.
Set the record straight. Set the record straight. Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
So you guys take care, man.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back here on Inside the HBCU Sports Lab.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less. He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Back to the Sports Lab, and none other than Coach Johnny Hernandez. He is the head coach of the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. Always a friend of the show. Welcome in, Coach.
Hey, how you guys doing? Once again, appreciate you all having us on here talking about our program here in Daytona Beach.
No doubt about it. I mean, you've another weekend series where you won, knocked off Mississippi Valley State this weekend. But just talk about what it is. Last time you were here, we talked a little bit about the parity that we've seen in the league, and you guys, you've won 7 in a row in conference play. But just talk about what it is that you're seeing week in, week out.
It's like what we all know. It's a grind. We talk about obviously, the toughness of the weekends here in the SWAC, whether that be in the East Division and how you see, over in the West. It's just you can't afford to take one game off. It doesn't matter who you're playing, whether you're playing, a SWAC East team or a SWAC West team. I think the SWAC coaches all along can agree that it's a tough conference, and you just got to be ready to play. And thankfully for us this weekend, we took care of business after what we felt was a disappointing, outing over at Alabama State. But nevertheless, we've won 7 in a row. Just kind of looking to continue to build, some momentum as we head towards the back half of the SWAC season.
No doubt. Go for it, Will.
Coach Hernandez, Wilton Jackson here. I wanted to ask you this question. What have you learned the most about your team, in this 7-game winning streak?
I think just the fact that we can compete with anybody. If you look up and down our schedule, I think we have 5 or 6 midweek wins throughout the course of the season. Of even some of our non-conference games that we've been able to win, and even some of the ones we've lost. Right, like we've learned a lot about ourselves, but just the resiliency, the grit, the mental toughness needed, especially anytime you play a non-conference opponent in the state of Florida, it's going to be tough. And we were able to do really well against Stetson, who's at the top of the ASUN, and obviously take down the University of Miami, who traditionally has had a great program, a lot of success there, and, just roll that momentum out against Mississippi Valley. So I think just the grit, the resiliency, and now hopefully the confidence, shows up a little bit more as we kind of head towards the back half of the season.
No doubt.
Go ahead, Charles.
No. Go for it.
I was just gonna say, and I was talking to Charles about this. It's that pivotal time of the season. You talk about getting into the back half. You got a couple series coming. Obviously, you have Alabama A&M this weekend, but some of those other series, and I know it's gonna be every coach has this mindset of take one game at a time. But you talk about the back half. Y'all have a pretty tough back half. FAMU, Alabama State, and Jackson State. What are your thoughts on again just navigating each one of those series to prepare to potentially get back to a SWAC title?
I think the first thing, it is what you said, right? You got to take one series at a time, one game at a time. And we can't really worry about who we're playing or all we can do is control what we can. Obviously, really good programs, a much improved Alabama A&M team. As you saw this past weekend, took one from FAMU earlier in the year, took one from Alabama State. So definitely not a team that, we're going to take lightly, right? Then you look at Jackson State, what they've been able to do, obviously the respect that we have for all the coaches in the East. So the thing about it is staying healthy. How healthy can we be towards this last 12 SWAC conference games? And, just like you alluded to, I think it's probably the toughest schedule heading down the stretch, heading to Atlanta. And again, like that's no disrespect to anybody else, but you look at who we play, and we're going to be on the road those 3 weekends. 3 out of the 4, weekends we're on the road. So, we're going to be road warriors, I guess, right? But again, I'll take my chances with the team that we have and just the resiliency of our guys. And again, just propel us to gain some momentum as we head towards the back half of the season, and also hopefully put us in a really good position as we get to Atlanta.
Mike, shoot your shot.
Yeah, Coach. Thanks a lot. Talk to us about your pitching staff. Right now, you're ranked number 1 in the SWAC with the top pitching staff. I think a team ERA of like 4.5. What's been most key in this last, I'd say 8-game streak? Has it been the depth of pitching, or is it your batting? Your bats have come along, or is it a combination? And how will this help you during this stretch where you got to face some tough teams toward the end of the season?
Well, I'll tell you, Mike, and you're one to always, love the offensive statistics as I've seen on the show. So I don't know if that's a question appropriate for you to ask, but I've been waiting for this moment. Now, Mike, I'll tell you.
Bring it.
I think if you look at the last, 7 games, especially starting on that Sunday against Alabama State, our starter gave us length. And the bullpen just kept it together for us for an opportunity to win, to salvage a series. You look at, Tuesday, Wednesday against those 2 out-of-conference wins that we had, it was really the bullpen that got taxed. So our bullpen kept it together. And then you look at this weekend against Mississippi Valley playing 4 games, our starters were able to give us length to preserve our bullpen. So, it was a little bit of everything, but I definitely do think that, on the pitching side of things, we're pretty deep, like every year. That's something that we believe in here at Bethune. It's going to be pitching and defense at the end of the day, and as we know, once we head into day 3, 4, maybe even day 5 of the SWAC tournament, it comes down to pitching. You're not going to outslug your way to a championship. So, I think we put an emphasis on that. And I think offensively, we've done what we've needed to do. You look at the game against Miami, we had 10 walks, 5 hit by pitches and 5 hits, but those 5 hits came in crucial situations for us to, get us that win there. So I think it's just a combination of everything finally getting put together for this last, 12 games or last 4 weeks that we have left in the SWAC season.
Coach, let me ask this question, and I know you're trying to focus on your team, but I know you look around the SWAC. Were there any surprises this weekend? We Texas Southern 4-game sweep of Southern. You had Alabama A&M. They took one from FAMU. Alabama State won the series versus Jackson State. But just as you pay attention to what's going on around the SWAC, what has opened your eyes?
I think it gets to a point where you have to think to yourself that nothing should come to surprise, because of how well these teams are coached and how well the coaches are doing with their respective teams and the student athletes just taking care of business, right? So, I think as you look at it, I think that this is probably the one year where the seeding maybe not matter as much because you can get a 4 seed from the West or 4 seed from the East, be in the SWAC championship game and have an opportunity to represent the conference. But, definitely, you have to respect obviously what Texas Southern is doing, right? After this past weekend against Southern, and Southern at that point was probably one of the hottest teams, in the SWAC West Division. Yeah. So again, you can't take nothing for granted. Don't take nobody lightly. And it's just going to be a good showing. I will say that whoever has the opportunity to represent our conference, they're going to represent, the SWAC baseball conference really, really well, in postseason play.
Another quick question I want to slip in, and this is something that we're seeing probably at the majors, but you're starting to see a lot of pitchers go down, frontline pitchers, especially with regards to elbow injuries and things of that nature. What exactly is happening, and is it transferring to the college game as well with guys throwing high velocity, high spin rate? What is it doing to elbows and arms?
Well, I think that there's something to with all the throwing programs that are out there, right? Especially as a pitcher, you have to fit the program that's best going to be attributed to what your needs are and what your strengths are and what your body type is and what your slot is. So there's a lot of different things that can happen. Overuse of the arm is a big one. We're fortunate where, again, with us at Bethune, like we're going to win, but not at the expense of, getting anybody hurt just because we're that deep on the pitching staff. But there's a culmination of things that, whether it could be the training, whether it could be the overuse of throwing, or it just could be, just a freak accident that may happen. But we all know with the technology, especially in the medical field, what they got going on with the Tommy John surgery that's evolved over the last couple of years. Somebody gets injured and it's like they're right back at it in about 10 to 12 months, with proper rehab, proper strength training. There's just a lot of things that can happen that can impact and, someone from having an elbow injury. Again, for us at Bethune, I've been fortunate to not have, those serious injuries come across our pitching staff. And, I think we just do a really good job with our arms as far as our strength training, our throwing programs, everything that we pay attention to make sure that our arms are the healthiest when we need them the most. And that's now in the month of May.
No doubt about it. Well, I know you're pressed for time. I know you're on the recruiting trail, but we thank you for stopping in and giving us the time that you were able to give us today. Whenever you have an opportunity, you're always welcome here on the Sports Lab, Coach.
Absolutely. I feel like I'm out on assignment, right, Mike?
That's right. You gotta go there. Why you gotta go there, Coach? Why you gotta go there?
It's all love, my man.
There's a coach program, no doubt about it.
All right, you guys have a good one. I appreciate it. Hail Wildcats.
There you go.
All right,
thank you, Coach. We'll be right back here on Inside the HBCU Sports Lab.
You have to go there. You have to go there.
Hey, I ain't with there with
you. Itchy, squirmy, scratchy, family not getting clean? Get Charmin Ultra Strong. Go get 'em. It just cleans better. With a diamond weave texture, your family can use less while still getting clean.
Goodbye, itchy squirm.
Hello, cream bottom.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
At Hampton Law, our primary goal is to provide non-traditional yet effective solutions and redefine the approach to client legal concerns. As your trusted legal advisor, we believe in sophisticated, personalized services that eliminate the confusion and complexity sometimes associated with legal matters. Our high standard for client care and concern, coupled with our extensive legal knowledge and skills, make Hampton Law a resource focused on the protection of the client's interest and overall goals. We value our clients and truly enjoy working with them. Visit thamptonlaw.com to conveniently schedule an appointment online. Tamika Hampton Esquire, 1631 Rock Springs Road, Suite 336, Apopka, Florida, 407-494-1471. thamptonlaw.com.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him.
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Lab with my co-host Wilton Jackson and Mike Washington, guys who are way smarter than me. So I like to always throw things out at them in terms of getting their thoughts before we get to some thoughts on what's going on, not just in the HBCU sports world, but the sports world in general. Shout out Alabama State as their women. They won the women's SWAC women's tennis title. Magdalena Andrade won the number 3 singles match to seal the 4-3 win over FAMU in the SWAC Women's Tennis Championship on this past Sunday at the Pepsi Center. And then you also have the Alabama State men. They won their 3rd straight SWAC Men's Tennis Championship. So I want to show some love to the tennis teams for the Alabama State Hornets as they add more trophies to the collection over there in Montgomery. Well, I tell you, Will, we're going to get back to it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it sucks to be, in your case, a Lakers fan right now. Because y'all was supposed to win that game last night.
So, you know,
24-point lead. Oh my God.
Bruh. I really was, I thought about this last night, and I've said this. I'm like, Denver's cool, but if the Lakers and Golden State gone,
Well, you could put it like this. If you're a person who likes, big franchises or big city markets, I mean, you still, quietly don't talk too loud New York around, but do you really want to put any money on New York? The Knicks? I don't think we do.
Man. I tell you what, man, the action was like electric last night. And say what you want about the Knicks. When the Garden is rocking.
Oh, it's rocking.
Oh my God. That the TV sound different. Big time. But huge win last night for the Knicks. Spike was spiking out there. And then the Denver Nuggets. And I go back to this Nuggets-Lakers game real quick because I remember when the Lakers played the Pistons in the finals, Kobe and Shaq, and then you had Mailman and Gary Payton was all on their team. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter if the Lakers had a lead. There was a point where the Pistons, I knew at some point within that series, they were just going to reel them back in. Yep. And I'm starting to get those same vibes whenever the Lakers play Denver. Like, it doesn't matter how big the lead is, they'll get reeled in. Or if Denver has a lead, the Lakers can't do enough to get back in it.
It's like they'll get there, they'll cut it to like 10 points, 8 points, 7 points. And then it's like Jokic is going to hit some type of sinker in the paint. Jamal Murray is going to make some type of play, or Porter Jr. is going to knock down a three.
It's a new day. It's a new day. It's Denver's time. It's a new day and age. It ain't the Lakers anymore. It ain't the Warriors.
That's true.
The Knicks are making that triumphant. It's just a new day and age, and we got to embrace it. As much as an old school aficionado as I am, it's just a new day.
Go ahead, Will. Go ahead.
I was about to say, I'm not gonna lie. I'm actually reading a book right now about the Knicks. One of my colleagues from Sports Illustrated wrote. His name's Chris Herron. Shout out to him. He wrote a book about the '90s Knicks. And so as I'm finishing reading up that book, and it's just like to see some of the experiences of those teams. You heard about it. Well, for me, I heard about it as a kid, just reading about it. You almost, for me, it's like I kind of want to see the Knicks do something this time around.
There's a lot of folks want to see the Knicks do something.
but
they got a lot of Knick orphans out there. So there are a lot of folks want to see the Knicks do something. But it brings up an interesting question because, Mike, you mentioned it's changing of the guard, it's a new day and age. Are there players in particular that you look forward to, like, oh, he's playing, I'm about to watch?
Yes. You still look for that person, that trifecta in Golden State. You still look for them to somehow say whatever. But for me, there's not as many as there was back in the day when, I guess, old school, when you would say, Jordan's coming to town. Oh, Bird's coming to town. Oh, Kobe's coming to town. I don't know if you have that player or players nowadays. You know, people still want to see LeBron, even though whatever, but I don't know if besides maybe the Golden State Warriors or other team, and they're not, they're going to be out of the playoffs, whatever. I don't know if there's that team that you say, that's that player I want to see.
Is the world ready for Ant-Man? Well,
that's what I was about to say. And I know it was only one game against Phoenix on Saturday.
Thank you. It's one game.
One game. But you can't lie and say that level of excitement in the competition between him and Kevin Durant was not exciting, because it was extremely exciting. Even Kevin Durant was excited for him.
Yeah. I need a few more data points. Maybe it's my thing, but you saw some of these players coming up in college. So when they played in the playoffs, they had household names. They were going head to head against each other. Nowadays, you've seen this guy for one game. Let's see him for another game for me to want to see him. I agree with what you say. That was exciting, but I need a few more data points.
No doubt.
I think Anthony Edwards is going to show up through this series. I'm not saying they're going to win, but I do think they're going to show up.
Let me throw another name out there at you. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Oh gosh.
Yes.
Anybody that loves basketball and the fact that you score 30 or 40 and not take that many 3-point shots every single time, and
that in between game is ill. Yeah. Good stuff, guys. Man, before we check out of here, any thoughts, anything on your mind? The floor is yours. Go for it. I'm just a guy sitting here looking.
I think the SWAC baseball season coming down to the end is going to be tough. It's going to be real. I mean, it's always tough, obviously, but kind of what Coach Hernandez said, they very well might have the toughest schedule down the stretch. Yeah, because those couple series that they have on the back end are gonna be tough.
No doubt.
I'm interested to see how that turns out before they get to Atlanta.
Yeah. I think Coach said something, even though he took a little side shots at me. That's okay, Coach. I think he said something that I truly believe, in addition to what Wilt was saying, is that the parity is there. They got a tough schedule, but I truly believe that I don't know if seeding is going to make a difference. This year, you look at who's beating who and who can beat who on any given night.
Yeah.
And you look at all the stats, kind of go out the window on some of these games. I don't know how much seeding is going to matter.
Yeah, I mean, when you really take a look at it, and I had an opportunity to watch Texas Southern. I was doing play-by-play for them this weekend. Them take down Southern. I'm legit concerned, and if you're a Southern Jaguar fan, legit concerned about their pitching because it was a rough weekend with regards to Southern baseball. But Texas Southern, they've won 10 straight now in conference. They have great at-bats. They got to kind of tighten things up with regards to the fielding. But a lot of these teams, and we talked about, these gaudy batting averages in the SWAC. Listen, you cannot throw pitches across the plate. You will get beat up. And we see that in midweek. Well, our coach Hernandez talked about Bethune-Cookman knocking off Miami. We've seen Alabama State now knock off Auburn. Of course, Southern swept this past weekend, but they got to win over LSU. So it is going to be some fascinating baseball as we speed toward the end of the season. Talked about the next 3 weeks, what it's going to look like. And then, of course, top 4 teams, they will convene in Atlanta for the SWAC Baseball Championships. I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely. Big time looking forward.
Well, guys, look at that, man. An hour has gone by just like that.
Yep.
I could just sit back and listen to you two and whoever we might have, but I'm in the great role of facilitator, the point guard.
We could have listened to Dr. Thomas for a whole hour.
Bruh.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Yeah.
Bruh.
The world, according to Dr. Thomas, he got some knowledge.
Yes, no doubt about it. And I'm always appreciative of individuals like that stopping by to drop some knowledge. Especially, we got a bunch of young people in the chat listening in tonight. My class is in there listening as well. So, and from all my class that's in here, you can get your HBCU news from HBCU Game Day, HBCUsports.com. Please go to those sites, and there's chock full of information for your school, for schools around HBCU athletics. But, we're just trying to build you as better sports fans around here. That's what we try to do. Professor Wilton, Professor Big Mike Washington, appreciate you guys as always. Another Tuesday down, fellas.
Yes, indeed.
Well, you know how we check out of here, man. I'm going to go round the horn. Course.
Lecture.
Course.
Oh, man. Come on, man. You messed it up. Oh.